Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the Hot Seat. I am your hostess with the mostest, P. Koffe Brown, and as you can see, I got all the fellas in the building on tonight. We have another set of guests that will be coming on in just a little bit. But before we do, go ahead and spread this wealth on your platforms. Let your friends, neighbors, and relatives know that we are live and we get ready to get popping with this conversation on tonight. Does submission come with conditions? Welcome in Facebook, our Facebook family. Welcome in LinkedIn. Welcome in YouTube. Welcome in to Instagram and Twitter in the building on tonight. So welcome in to all of our social media platforms as we get ready to get the party started on tonight. The fellas are going to go ahead and introduce themselves. The troublemakers are in the building on tonight. So fellas, let's get the introductions out of the way and get this party started. We got Toxic Bay himself in the building on tonight. Yeah, that's him. Toxic Bay is in the building. So go ahead and holler at these folks tonight. Taylor, tell them what's good.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Taylor Made Speaks. I'm a relationship toxic expert where I deal with people that are in toxic relationships and I help men and women come back to self-love. So if you have any toxicity in your situation, I'm the person to contact.
I love it. I love it. So you heard it here first. If you are toxic and you are a toxic bae lover, then Taylor is the person for you. So if you're toxic and you're in toxicity, hit Taylor up. He's going to help you get out of it. That's if you want to be out of it. You may like what you're doing, so you may want to stay. But nonetheless, he is our toxic bae specialist for tonight. Next up, we got my boy Jason Thibodeau inside of the building. Welcome, JT.
What's going on? Jason Thibodeau, actor, thespian, certified writer. You know what I'm saying? Amazon bestseller. I will accept that and keep that going. Thank you. Thank you. And if you're toxic, I can help you become single because you will get your butt away from me.
Oh,
anyways, I tell you that right now. Yep.
I'm so done right now. Oh my God. You are hilarious. Next up, we got my girl, my dynamic girlfriend, my homegirl, and my homeboy, our couple for tonight. We had to have a couple in for this conversation on tonight. To Mitchell and Chris Patcher are in the building. Hey. What up? What up? Share with the people who you are and what's up? What's good with y'all two?
Everything's good. Just hanging out. Still trying to get the new business popping. The apparel line. That's about it. Mm-hmm.
And whatnot. They rocking the apparel line, y'all. Just wait and see. I got my t-shirt. Last time we had a segment, I had my t-shirt on, representing for the team and the crew and everything. Who all gonna be over there? What's up? You know what I'm saying? I wore it to school too. They was like, where you get that t-shirt? So who all gonna be there? That's all I want to know. It's a brown folks thing. No doubt. Hey, Charles.
Hello.
What's going on?
Not so much. Had to get the technical difficulty out the way.
All is well. I was wondering what was going on with your technical stuff over there. You got everything together now, Charles?
Yes. It's well.
Okay, I don't need to call nobody. All right. And also we have Jason Williams in the building, the voice of DFG Publishing House, LLC.
Mr.
Jason, what's good?
I am good. How is everybody tonight? I am, due to DFG, I am a two-time Amazon best-selling author, planning on making a third. And thus
and so and whatnot.
Right. And I'm a musician, also, just all around good guy. That's all I'm gonna say at that point. I'm gonna leave that right there.
All right, then, Mr. Good Guy's in the building. So we're going to see how he feel about this submission on tonight. All right, so we're going to get this party started. Charles and I was talking about this a few days ago. And Charles said, I just don't have a submissive spirit with me. And I said, what? I said, how can you say such a thing about me? Little old innocent me. But no, we seriously had a conversation about this. I actually was listening to somebody not long ago, and they were talking about a relationship, and the lady started throwing out all these conditions, like if he does this, if he does that, if this is this and this is that, is she gonna do this, is she gonna do that? And so I started thinking, I was like, does submission come with conditions? So let's talk about it. Let's dive right into the topic on tonight. So Charles, after you already called me out and said that I wasn't submissive and everything, Charles, does submission come with conditions?
I very much.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Well,
he submitted to the camera.
You put him on the spot, and he went.
It couldn't happen any funnier than that.
It could not have happened any funnier than just what happened just now. Okay, like for real, and my hands are not on the button, so I ain't do nothing. It wasn't me.
Mm-hmm.
JT, let's talk about it. Does submission come with conditions, Jason?
Absolutely so. In this day and age, I don't know every relationship I've ever seen or been around. The people that I've talked to, it seemed like that answer would be yes.
But why?
Yeah, I don't know. Most of the people I spoke to were young ladies, and about relationships and kind of how they felt about some things, and it always seemed as if there was conditions to pretty much everything. So that might be something that you or to Mitchell has to answer.
Jason Williams, what's your thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm.
I tend to agree with JT. In this day and age, submission for the mindset of the people that we have out there in this world, it is definitely conditional. Should it be? Not at all. But is it? Most definitely. And I think it's on both sides, because I believe everybody, I think we've gotten into contractual relationships instead of just really being, letting people be who they are and live as who they are. We go into relationships with predispositions on what is a wife supposed to be, what a husband's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they're not even vocalized. So with doing that, you've already set yourself up to be, well, if you don't do this and if you don't do that, I can't do my end of the deal. When your end of the deal shouldn't matter what I do or don't do, and vice versa. If you love me, submit to me, I submit to you. And as long as I'm submitted to you and you're submitted to me, we should be good. But in 2022, yeah, everybody got papers out. Everybody's got an unofficial prenup. I'll say it like that.
Right.
So Charles Dixon, you kind of made it seem like, I took you off when you got ready to talk.
Yeah, you heard me. You pushed the button and said back room eject. I know, I saw it, but anyway.
No, Charles,
no, really, what I was going to say, I'll cut it short. I'll cut to the point. I think in today's time, what Jason alluded to, I think if a man doesn't, I think if a man stands a chance of being in an exchange relationship, whatever you call it, and he feels that he receives a fair, and when I say submission, like I would say when he receives a respectful lean, like she's leading toward his suggestions, or she's willing to hear him out before exuding and exerting herself. I think men don't get that unless they offer relief. If you offer a woman some sort of relief, she'll be more inclined to submit. If you're not giving her any relief, meaning you're not them pockets not looking a certain way, you're not delivering a certain sort of what do you call it? If you're not keeping her a certain way, or she's not seeing you really throw your keep around the house in a certain way where you kind of managing things, then that's typically when in this society where you'll get that reverse. I ain't listening to what boy bad, that whole thing. It's a whole different thing, and men don't get what it seemed like they used to get it. That's like a lost art today.
Hey, Charles has spoken. Let's raise for offering.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're gonna come back to this.
Oh my
this idea after we get through. I want to hear from Mitchell and Chris. We had to have a couple in the building tonight to kind of offset the confusion from the men's ministry. You know what I'm saying?
So as soon as he says something, he's gonna be in trouble.
That's it.
Ladies first.
I'm not gonna be in trouble. No, I actually agree with like what everybody is saying because it is no longer submission anymore. I believe that submission, it does come with conditions. I mean, we're not talking about extremities like abuse or anything like that. But when we're talking about just in general, I'll go with what Charles said is that it tells you that where there's no vision, the people are going to perish. And I believe that falls in line when a man does not have a vision, a direction, or what have you. It may be very difficult to submit to something like that. You know what I mean? But I agree but also on the flip side, men have to submit too. And sometimes that ego gets in the way and they don't want to submit. Prime example, this is so funny today. Oh my God. I asked Chris to turn.
Lord,
it was very small. It was very small. I asked him to turn it. I was like, turn the closet light off. You always leave it on.
She talked to me, turn the closet light
Just
off.
blink twice and you're in trouble.
Turn it off.
Chris, blink twice and you're in trouble. There you go.
He walked out. He walked out and did not turn it off. Just walked out. I was like, okay, you know what? Whatever. But then maybe 2 seconds later, he came back and turned it off. I don't know what happened in between then. I don't know if he forgot something in the room or whatever. But little things like that are acts of submission. Like if you're, that's how I feel. And that is lost, like you said, because it's tit for tat now. Like you ain't doing this for me, I ain't doing this for you. You know what I mean?
Well, okay. So listen, you didn't ask me to turn the light off. You like, turn the light off. So I walked out the room and I didn't turn the light off, but I walked back in the room because I was like, I forgot my phone and I'm gonna turn this light off real quick. So
I forgot his phone.
That's basically right. But I mean, I feel like that, just to kind of piggyback off of everything, it is crazy of the conditions that I blame it on social media.
Yeah,
I really do, man. These expectations, these false expectations that people have of what a relationship is supposed to be like. So you're gonna do this. If you do this, I do this, and I think is really messed up right now. And I think that a lot of our young people that are coming into the age where they're okay, I'm gonna settle down with one person. They got this skewed vision of what a relationship is looking like. I had it. Based on my relationship with my mom and dad, or watching them with their relationship, rather, than coming in with, with expectations for T. Okay, if I do this, she'll do this. We're not teaching that. It's. I think that's what it is.
Taylor, hop on in here. Does submission come with conditions? You heard the consensus on the panel. I need some controversy from Toxic Faith. Come on,
no, 100%, and I do agree with the conditions. And the reason why I agree with the conditions is because there's crazy people out there. There's people that have some ridiculous ideas of what submission is. I see a lot of narcissists love the submission. And they hide themselves and they clothe themselves within the submission factor. And so I think that anything that we do, and I love this topic, anything, you see me getting excited anytime I shift in a seat like this, I'm getting excited coming out of the chair. Everything that we do comes with terms and condition. Now, what do I mean by that? If you apply for a credit card, right? You're submitting, first of all, to the background check because they have to run your credit, right? So you're yielding, submission is yielding to the card, right? And then you have a terms and condition. In a relationship, there's ground rules, right? Everybody kind of handle their relationship differently. But when you go to the altar, right, and you say your oath, right? That's the terms and condition, right? To death do us part, right? We make an oath, we make an agreement, right? Anything contractual, and if we want to take it spiritually with God, the covenant, that's contractual. Now, it might not be physical paper, but it's a spiritual contract, right? And so these terms and conditions and laws that we have to abide by, especially when it comes to submission, we're talking about leadership, right? We're submitting to somebody. Well, what is your expectation? We always ask that question, right? What do you okay, I'm submitting to you on what grounds? What am I submitting to you on? Like, what, you know, am I yielding to you to handle the finance? Right. And then what does that look like? Right. You always have that conversation, or we're supposed to have that conversation. So I think conditions 100% needs to be put in place, just like barriers, just like guidelines, just like goals, just like morals, like all these conversations need to have. So I love the condition part when it comes to submission.
And that's a very solid angle. I think the problem where most men, if they're honest, they really pay less attention to the terms and conditions, and they pay attention to the cousin called respect. The respect and the submission kind of go side by side. And so let's just take Toe Mitchell. I'm not trying to pick on you guys. Just use an example.
Yes,
when you notice, think
you.
about it. No, think about it. You got to understand, we already live in a world where men are fighting for all they have. You got to understand that nowadays you're looking at movies where it looks like you see a woman beating up a man, like, you know, a dude 300 pounds, she's body slamming him. So the whole narrative.
Charles, where you seeing that at? What movie is that?
Hey, if you look at most of these movies now and how you see how they're infiltrating the woman as the muscle, it's different. And so it's happening in society. And so men are like, listen, I don't need to be like Fred Flintstone and grab you by the head and do all these things. I just want you to allow me to be me. Don't take that from me, right? Let me be me. And so in that, nowadays, it's like, you know, and to Mitchell, she didn't mean any harm at all. She was just saying, can you, she was like, do this. But see, in man's psyche, it's like, hold up now, I'm not your little girl. She's telling me to go over there and do this like that. And so it's all about the delivery. And so if she had said, sweetheart, baby, could you please do that? He'd be like, oh, all right. But because she did that, he had to give her a little bit of drama and come back out and go back in. You know, make it a little hard for her. No, I'm teasing. No, I'm teasing, but I'm saying in most cases, it's the delivery. In most cases, all men are looking for, just as women, are just a respectful delivery, both sides. That's all people are looking for. And that, to me, that's the beginning of going a long way when you're having those conversations of submission. And then here's the other last quick part of it is saying submission to someone who has no regard of the word. Like typically, if you're not a person who has touched any part of the Bible, you really don't get submission. You don't understand where it came from and why. So you talking about in a secular society, nowadays, people look at you like you got three heads mentioning submission in the context of a relationship. You know what I'm saying? They don't get it. You know what I'm saying? So it's different.
Can I speak to conditions?
Please go ahead, Jason. I'm going to be submissive right now.
Because I agree that there should be an understanding, like what you said. If my wife is better with finances, then she should control the finances.
Right.
And that's just my mind. That's my mindset. If I'm better in something else, then allow me to lead in that area because that's my strength. Because if you allow me to lead in my strength, I allow you to lead in your strength. That means we should be a stronger unit. But I don't think there should be conditions. And when I say conditions, or contractual conditions, is if you don't do, because what happens when I fail that one time? Has our relationship now been destroyed? What happens if I fail more than once? Is our relationship now null and void? Because when you make things contractual, and that's what a lot of people do in their head, they don't say it out loud most of the time, but in their heads they have this contract. I told my wife when we got together, basically that. Well, I'll say it like this. She said something to me, and she got it corrected by someone else, but it was an older woman that told her that. And she was like, she said something to the fact of, and I'm paraphrasing because I'm not going to quote it exactly like she said it, but she said, basically, if you cheat on me, I'm out. Now that's pretty much everybody's rule. If you cheat on me, I'm out. Right. My mindset for her was, I've already forgiven you if you do it. Because that takes the sting out of it. Because now what you did is put out in the air, and this is just my belief. Now what you did was just put out in the air that if I do this, you're out. So everything in the universe is going to try to push me to do that. But if I say I've already forgiven you, I've taken the sting out of it. You can't hurt me with that. And that's just my mentality. My mentality is I've already forgiven you for something you haven't done, so that if it ever comes up, we can work it out. Because at the end of the day, if it's a relationship and I love you and you love me, we should be able to get through anything. There's nothing that can keep us from being together if we don't want to be. For me, relationships break up not really because of the incidents that happen. It's the stubbornness to not let it go.
Powerful.
So Mitchell, can we put that on a t-shirt?
Right.
You're right. It may not sell though.
No, I
We gonna get no
hear what
sales.
you're saying, Jason. Because I look at it like this. I have family members. I'll just say this. I have a family member, and they went through infidelity. And it was like, they about to break up. And it's like 20 years later, they worked it out. And they have none of that. And they look like they're even closer because they went through that. Nobody left home for months on end. They stayed in the house and they worked it out. So I think that people, like, man, that I didn't even look at it like that, Jason. Yeah.
I mean, he brings up a really. Go ahead, Taylor.
No, I was gonna say. So, Jason, can we say, and please
Taylor,
correct me, and please.
Taylor, did you see the submission again? Did I get another brownie point for that?
Oh my gosh,
You did. You did. She did yield. Hey, that's one though. That's one. We'll see if it lasts throughout this conversation.
It'll be next.
Never mind. Then go ahead, Taylor.
but Jason, can we say ultimatums is wrong? Because I don't believe in ultimatum.
Right.
So I think contractual. Like I said, I still believe it's good. Ultimatums, absolutely. If you don't do this, then I'm out. Or if you do this, I'm punishing you, because it's like putting a gun to your head, and it destroys a relationship. But I think that it's fair to say, if I allow you to handle the finances and you put the family in a bind, because maybe you're good with finances, but for some reason we're broke now, right? And you took all the money, you did whatever you did.
Well, that's not good finance.
The buck got to stop there. Like, I cannot allow you to put us in that situation again. So I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to readjust and say, hey, let's try something different, because I yield to you because I had faith that, you would handle the finances. And now the family's in bind. And now, because I'm the man, this is just my personal belief, I got to step up to the plate. And now I got to take that responsibility over and navigate it a different way. But I think that that condition could be, this is just my perspective, in place to say, hey, if this happens, then these are the conditions, as far as this is the way we'll navigate, not necessarily penalize or punish.
Action plan. Action plan.
Right.
It's too broad. It's like boiling the ocean, saying I'm just gonna leave or whatever when this happens. But you do have to kind of pivot and navigate. Because one thing that is going to change is life. And we get that. I mean, we the transition, this age that we're in now, we got elderly parents, we got kids that's going crazy. We got a dog that just died. It's a lot of different things that are happening. And so how the question is, how are you still going to stay submissive without letting the anger of or sadness or whatever overflow into your personal relationship? Because that gets misconstrued too. Because it's like, dang, you messed up the finances again. Now you pissed. You don't want to talk. So there's so many different factors that go with those conditions. And like Jason said, well, what if I mess up more than one time? How do we navigate that? And I think it's important to have the action in place on what you're going to do.
And then I think it's important as to how the man sees that potential shift in the submission about the money. Let's just say if I'm thinking if it's myself and I'm married and I was like, "Dad, baby, you know, I made a snafu this time." I'm sorry about that. Can y'all hear me? I made a snafu this time with the money. And if she was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to do the thing this month. I got it because I ain't playing with you." So I'll laugh. I'll be like, well, "You go ahead and pay him then." So it all depends on if you're like taking it so sensitively that you feel like it's coming against your manhood. Now, here's the other thing. If you're ear hustling and you catch her on the phone with her sister or her girlfriend, he's like, you know what? Tell him, man, I'm so good. He is horrible with the money. I'm going to do this because you know what? I ain't got time for him. You know, I'm sick of this. Then now you tearing your husband down. That's where the respect issue is like, you know what? You don't even have respect for me, let alone you kind of like forgiving the fact that I got some issues with the money, but you don't got to tear me down like that. So I think it's kind of how he receives it as to how offended he'll get by it. You know,
I agree with that.
Right, because you don't want to emasculate. That's the one thing that you don't want to emasculate. And I'm sorry, Jason, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I was just gonna say there was another thing, and I don't know if I was the only one that heard it that I picked up that Jason said, because he used the example of if you cheat on me, then I'm gone. And a lot of people say that if you mess with the finances, you know, a lot of times, especially in marriage, you know, the other person is gone. I mean, that's the two main things, cheating, in finances in a marriage. Something else I picked up that he said, I've already forgiven you. Because he said that if you're and what I heard was that, basically what it is that you're looking for is looking for you. We hear that in business a lot. And what I heard was if you go looking for certain things, you're destined to find it. So if you're trying to catch me doing something so that you have an out or a reason to leave,
you'll find it.
You're going to find it. Same finances, same thing with turning the light off in the closet or whatever the case may be. Some people, no, and I'm not picking at you or anything else.
Right.
I was just using that as an example. And for the people out there in the world, I know all these guys, so I'm gonna mess with them as well. But I mean, if you coming in with a loaded gun already,
right?
Yeah.
You got a loaded gun, and you walking into a situation, you bound to shoot. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
You're looking for.
Wow.
Just something to think about. That was just something else I heard that Jason was saying when he said that, hey, look, I've already forgiven you because life. It could happen. We're not hoping for it, not going for it or anything else.
But it could happen.
Based on everything. Okay, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
How you submit to conditions you don't even know about, though?
Exactly.
Right. True.
And I heard that earlier.
I think you have a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People in relationships all the time and don't talk. They don't lay out conditions. They don't talk about the conditions until stuff starts to hit the fan. Then it's all of a sudden, why you do that? You should have known that bothered me. I can't read your mind, baby. What the hell are you talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
I don't think there's enough transparency into just how realistic most of these relationships are performance based. People are not honest. People are not honest about how much they're looking at your performance as to whether or not they'll trigger some sort of submission, respect, or what have you. If you're not it's just like at a job when you have that 90-day conversation. Yeah, well, we see some improvement, but we're going to need to see this, or we're going to put you on a performance improvement plan. Mm-hmm. And that means we're watching you because we might X you. So it's kind of like that in relationships. People are sort of like, yeah, okay, but I got my eye on you because you kind of missing the mark here and there as a husband, as a spouse, as a fiance, man, whatever you call it, or vice versa. So that's kind of like something that's really happening today.
Based on what everybody has said so far as it pertains to submission, are we relationally doomed? Because it sounds as though, based on where we are in the conversation, that we're looking at it from a perspective that we're damning our ability to be able to have a high functioning, healthy relationship. I don't know who it was earlier that mentioned about social. Oh, Chris, I think mentioned earlier about social media being one of the huge catalysts of us kind of stepping away from the idea of yielding, if you will, because submission just means yielding. The idea of yielding into somebody else's leadership or authority, as though, social media, we've allowed social media to have power over our personal ability to make healthy relationship decisions.
I agree.
Use it.
Agreed.
Hey, it ain't
Well,
tricky.
I think honestly that people can definitely have a fruitful relationship, but you just have to recognize that whoever your spouse is, let them be them. Let you, and they have to let you be you. I think when we had that conversation months ago about what does the perfect spouse look like, and I think I said it then that there's really no such thing as a perfect spouse. The perfect spouse to anybody is someone that's willing to adapt. Because there's always going to be change. The one thing that's constant in a relationship, the one thing that's constant in life is change. And if we're not able to adapt to the changes that happen in life, the changes that happen in our spouses, in our relationships, then you're doomed to fail. The reality is you have to be adaptable, even in your relationships. You can't say, oh, well, we started like this, we should end like this. Nah, baby, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds good, but it's not realistic.
Right. You know what? I'll be very transparent. I was guilty of that because I'm like, well, this is not how it was, started out, da da da. And then I think what you said, Jason, about the fact that you have to let somebody be themselves. My husband is has some quirky stuff. Like he's very talkative, communicative, friendly. He can be over the top sometimes. Sometimes it's not my personality, but I had to. When you don't let people be themselves, they start being resentful and then they don't want to submit to you. So it kind of goes into like, I already kind of don't, you won't even let me be who I am. So why do I have to listen to you? So that it kind of rolls in one. Like you have to really give this person room to be able to adapt and be able to, not so much as change for you, be the core of who they are, but be able to, like you said, adapt to who you are. And I think that's such a great point.
I think it's like tug of war in the beginning, because two people come together with their own ideals and just like total separate upbringings and all. When now you are married and you're trying to wiggle your way around. And I kind of look at it like the Greco style wrestling, how they try to get position. And I think nowadays that a lot of ladies are like really headstrong. Like I'm not saying that they shouldn't be. I'm just saying like they have had a strength all this long time. They raise families. Mothers have been matriarchs of the whole family. But it's like now it's like you got women punching people in the face and trying, like, I don't know what that.
But when do you turn that off?
Yeah.
When do you turn that survival mode off? And that's another problem that we have with women submitted, because we've been in survival mode for so long. And by the time we do get to a relationship, we're still in survival mode. So there's no balance there. So that's a whole nother.
It's more like a tug of war.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see that goes hand in hand with submission though, because as some women, and I'm not gonna say all, as some women are leaders in their community, they're leaders at work, they lead the children. When it comes to the spouse, they have to learn how to say, let me turn that off. It should be an equal base, but sometimes it gets lost in translation because of the fact that I do this all the time. So it's a part of who I am. And if you can't turn it off, then what you've done is you've isolated your man, because he's like, look, I'm not your child and you're not going to keep talking to me like I'm a child, or I'm not your employee. You're not going to talk to me like I'm your employee. And like we said earlier, it'll cause people to isolate themselves from you, because then I was like, look, you know what? I don't even like talking to you.
Yeah. But those kind of behaviors though, Jason, don't you think that behavior would manifest long before you say I do? It doesn't just pop up after a wedding.
Yeah, but guess what? You walked into the perfect segue. This is why I was going to say.
Thank you, Charles.
A lot of people will. The problem is we're not even considering how less we respect the person before we wed to them. Because see, we think people can get married, and if I'm the more aggressive person, whether it's the female or the male, I can convince you to buy into my system. That way, you're going to defer to me. I got this. Don't worry. Whether it's the woman or the man, I'm going to, instead of us saying, I'm going to accept you as a business partner and what you bring, and just accept me what I bring, and let's work together. We're taking the union on, but putting the other person immediately in the full Nelson, and we're controlling the narrative. Instead of doing that as a couple, you're telling the one person to get behind you while you be the face, and so that's where the chaos is coming in. And so now it comes where people are trying to say, well, I'm sorry, did I do that? I didn't mean to make you feel that way. And one of the worst things you could ever do is have a spouse that gets to the point where they can win an Oscar, a spouse that can act, because they're not being honest with you about how they really feel, but they're going along to get along because they don't want to disappoint you, and they love you. They don't want to leave you, but they don't want to disappoint you. So let me just get into character because I know this is what person X wants. So let me do this. And then when they're away from the person, they have some of the most egregious conversations about them to their friends and to their family about how they detest and resent the person because the person is not allowing them to be them. You know what I'm saying?
And we already know once you say I do, about every relationship, but there are some change. I got a father that's been married for about 20 years, and after he said I do, I think I've seen that Negro 3 times. Out of his house. Going to his house to hang out there.
Right.
So yeah.
Are you guys suggesting that dating is deceitful? Is that what we're suggesting?
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody puts their best foot forward. Correct. Who's gonna show you the bad side?
Me.
Yeah. Who's gonna come out and be like, you know what? I don't clean up after myself. You're gonna have to do it when you come to the house.
Right.
No.
It would be great if it was like that though.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's
and
in the world of psychology, Taylor. They always say that a lot of what we suggest happened after marriage. There was an indication of sorts,
of course,
prior to, and we just decided for whatever reason, maybe
not to pay attention.
Maybe the eggplant was magnificent. I don't know.
I mean,
oh my goodness. Yeah.
Or maybe, she was a magic microphone person. I don't know. But for some reason, we allege that, this wasn't this didn't happen. They're doing it. Where I kind of want you to kind of tell me, Taylor, because you toxic babe. This is what you do for a living. You're a toxic base.
Come on, Taylor. Come on.
So Taylor. Is psychologists, are they just inaccurate in that this is happening prior and we're just not seeing it? Or are people just flipping switches and just turning from, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of syndrome going on?
Yeah, I think we're living in a time where people are desperate and that's in all ranges. Women are. Look, I know y'all gonna come for me, but it's okay because we're gonna speak the truth on this platform. Okay.
Mitchell got it. Go ahead, come on with
it. You have women that are desperate, you have men that are desperate. And for whatever reason, right? So you have some women that are desperate to get married before a certain age, right? So we have that factor, right? And then we have some men that are desperate because maybe their finance is not up to par, right? But they see a woman that, she has her house and she has her stuff going on and he could kind of leech off of her, right? I mean, there's people out there like that too.
Yeah.
So I think there's a scarcity mindset that's going on. I also think that everybody have their beliefs, right? From a biblical standpoint, spiritual, for their morals or just their tradition, right? Well, I'm glad that there is terms and conditions in place because there's a thing called an annulment after 6 months of marriage. Okay. And so
that's in certain areas, but go ahead, Taylor.
Yeah, 100%. So my thing is this, right? You do your research prior. Okay. There are some people that are deceitful, right?
Mhm.
And then if anything changes after, there's always a room for escape. I know some of y'all don't believe in divorce or don't believe in leaving the person or what have you.
Yeah. Right.
But if you felt like you're deceived, because like I said, there's people that pretend, there's people that are affectionate before the marriage come on, or there's people that is doing all of this before the baby comes, right? Because there's women that do change after they get their child, right? That plays another factor too, right? So there's different things that happen. Like I said, I'm not saying women is the only one that do this. Men do the same thing too. But there's always a room for escape. I always believe that, right? And so when you start seeing these changes and these patterns, of course, you have that conversation. Should you have had that conversation before? Absolutely. Can a person play the game for 2 years? 100%. For 3 years, for 4 years. There are professionals out there, right? And so there's another thing going on where I'm from, where this is they impregnate men for they use men to impregnate them for a living, right?
Correct.
And live off of the government. That's a whole nother situation, right? Where that pretending is happening, that they're really into you and they're really not. They just want to get the baby and then they're gonna cut you, right?
The benefits.
100%, and use that as a stepping stone. There's a lot of things that's going on in this picture right here that we're talking about, right? And so, like I said, that conversation needs to be had. They need to know where you stand, right? Now, yes, when it comes to cheating, I'm glad you said that, Jason. You know, I never was a type of person that I can dictate how I'm going to act in those type of situations, right? I think it's unfair to say, if you do this, then I'm going to do that, because it's easy to look from the outside in, right? And I'm sure that our couple that's on here probably had looked at some stuff from the outside in, and once now they're married, oh, it's a whole different ballgame, right? You ain't just gonna pick up and leave. So I think you have to look at the whole situation, and then make the determination, right? So there's a lot of toxic people out there, but I think that because of the time we're living in, and people are leveraging off of each other for whatever reason, finance, for just security, for a baby, and they're pretending to be this person who they're really not. And let me just say this, and I'm gonna stop right there. This whole facade thing, the whole makeup and the hair and all that stuff, I need to see that before any ring goes on any finger. Like
all that, especially nowadays.
Pull it off.
All that stuff. And let me say this, ladies. Let me say this. It's not only for the women too. Look, men have the same thing too.
Yeah. They doing it now. They doing it.
Yeah. So you know, just make sure you know who you're dealing with.
Yeah. Here's what's unfortunately sad, P. Koffe. Today, folks want your life, not you. And so what the thing is, people are so selfish that they will sacrifice enough of themselves to adapt while they're finessing using you, but will not sacrifice to love you. That's the sad part. Wow. That's what's really happening out here.
That's another t-shirt to mention. We got a couple.
That's another t-shirt.
Yeah. I want your life, but I don't want your. They
don't want you. I want your lifestyle, but I don't want you. But I'll pretend enough to dwell here with you because I need this. But you don't know what to do with it. Let me get up in that house and I'll show you what to do with it. And I can go out and cheat behind your back. I don't
think that's something that's new, though. You think that's new?
No, it's escalated now because people are becoming more resourceful about finances now. Like there was once upon a time where you was like, oh, you know, Taylor Made is a well-respected lawyer down the street. He makes good money, or this person is a doctor, and money wasn't as readily available as it is today. And so nowadays, it doesn't take a lot to for a woman to look her best. You know how you all say, I'm living my best life. Live your best life. Show up in a particular environment, look in your best, and you may be entertaining a real baller. You do not know it, but you might be. It doesn't take long to roll up on somebody that got some money. Now, once if he's a smart person, he's gonna look you up and be like, I don't know what this is gonna be, but I'll talk to you. But nonetheless, there are some men that are unsuspecting, and that woman can with them right on in, and there you go. Yeah, so it just depends.
I want y'all to get off the ladies though. That's what I want.
Okay.
Well,
you talk about this submission. You talk about submission.
It's vice versa too. There's some homosexuals out there that need a place to stay.
You better believe it. You better believe it.
And try to court women immediately. And I'll submit and do whatever you want, girl. I love you. I want to live with you the first week or two that they've met.
Yeah, I'm gonna babysit your kids.
Yeah. So there. I think that the facade is pretty much a part that everybody has played. But see, what people don't understand, and this is what Chris and I talk about. What happens when job losses happen? Right. What happens when your kids start acting crazy? Are you going to be there when we got to move our elderly parent in? Are you going to be there for these different things? And that's what people don't know that they're signing up for. Right. Because it's all good. It's all good when it's fun. But when it's time to really put the rubber to the road, are you really going to, stay in the game? And that's the key.
But see, in the narrative we're being shown, if we're going back to what your husband said about social media, the narrative we're being shown now is we see all of the emergence of these great couples. Let's just look at Shawnee O'Neal and how she married the pastor, and how when that whole emergence came up, everyone is kind of looking at all of the good. And so people are only advertising the good on social media. And so in our minds, we're tailoring our marriages and relationships after these good images. But then when the bad comes, we didn't sign up for that. I only signed up for this transitional run on social media so I can live my best life with you. I didn't sign up for it to be for everybody to know we don't have a house no more. For you to slap Chris Rock in his face. Correct. That's what I'm saying. So it's a total different time we live in.
Yeah. Right, but a good relationship, and I know you all know this, a good relationship is the bad stuff. That's when you really know you in a good relationship.
You got something to do that they're gonna stick in it with you.
Right. Yeah. But most people don't want to live to that situation.
Because today is about imagery. Today is all about image. Yeah, that's it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he can't stand that.
Oh my goodness.
That's it.
If you really
I was telling one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. If you really want to know why most relationships fail, is because as adults, we find it okay to go to work and submit, and then we want to come home and raise hell as if we don't have a job to do once we get home as well.
You got a job to do. We are, yes.
That's something.
Wow. The most conditions.
Wow. Wife had that conversation. When you go to work, you go to work.
You just said you said a mouthful. You just said a mouthful. You said a mouthful because at the end of the day, let's just keep it 100% real. When we're working with any organization, I mean, this goes, honestly, I say this to people all the time. Your client and your customer is your employer. I don't care if you have the company. I don't care what it is. Your client is your employers, period.
True.
And, if you don't submit to them and respond to them according to what they're requiring of you, your whole livelihood is on the line. And it's so interesting that, and I want Taylor to kind of tap into this, because Taylor kind of alluded to this before we came on, but he did. I was been sitting here all night for 49 minutes waiting on him to say something about this, but he ain't said nothing. But Jason Thibodeau opened up the door for it, so we want Taylor to go on and walk through it.
Come on.
This issue with submission, though, when you really think about it, why is it that we give other outside forces that much power over us, but then the inside force that we have to be with every single day, and that has to deal with us on every single level of our human experience, they don't get the same kind of response? Y'all quiet. I feel like that scripture said that let all the earth be silent. I mean,
So
I thought you said you wanted Taylor to walk through this.
oh, I was waiting on Taylor. Taylor over here.
Okay.
You wouldn't know.
Chris walked through the door first, so I'm like,
No, I think that you know, it's one of those things where oh man, we show respect to everything else besides the person that is next to us, right? The person that we provide an oath to, or the person that we promise to be there by their side, right? So like you said, yeah, we go to our jobs and we worship that narcissist manager that you have, or let me not say narcissist, that a toxic manager, you know, that you have. So you get up, you go to work early, you do everything that you're supposed to do to complete that project, but the project that's sitting next to you in your bedroom that wants to be fed, you know, you don't have time to do that project, right? And so I feel that we have failed as a human race, because the thing is, let me dig a little deeper. We do that to ourselves. Like, okay, it's one thing where you got a spouse or you got a partner and you're neglecting your partner and serving or submitting to somebody outside. But what about the people that don't even have a partner that is submitting to something or somebody outside and neglecting their own self?
Yeah.
You know, and I think, you know, we talk about this pandemic and my heart goes out to people that has lost, you know, loved ones and maybe lost their jobs and what have you. But this pandemic was an eye opener to a lot of us.
Yeah.
Because we realize that I don't even care for this person that I'm sleeping next to every day.
Yeah, because the divorce rate has escalated to an all-time high in this particular time frame. Because and you know, I was reading a stat, I think it was about a month or so ago, and they were doing this poll. I think the marriage ages were between like 35 and 44 or something like that. And some of the people were saying, I really didn't know them. I didn't have to know them because we were away from each other so much.
Yeah, I think we underestimated how much the role of avoidance plays in our relationships. And when the
pandemic how much time
happened,
we spend outside of our household. So you think about it, if you leave, you work for 8 hours, you take an hour lunch. Your commute could be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. So you got what, 9, 10, 11 hours where you're not around your purpose person. So you think about that, then you take that other 8 hours. So that's what, 20, what is that? 11, that's 20, what? That's about 20. Yeah. Yeah, you think about the 8 hours because you're going to be asleep. So that's 18 hours. So you got 6 additional hours left in between that time frame where you're not really investing all that time in your spouse, and you yielded 11 hours to an outside force, and then you went to sleep for 8 hours. So where's your spouse really getting any energy from you in that anyway?
Me and T used to always say that, like, hey, could we work together? You think we could own a business and sit beside each other and work together? And then the pandemic happened. But we have always been friends, for one. It didn't even bother me to see her like every day, all day. I think it bothered me to have the kids in the house more, like just to be on top of each other. Yeah, it was like, dang, I have no freedom.
There was definitely,
but to be around her, I didn't get the fact that you didn't want to be around me, but like we had fun. Like we had fun. We talked. We would yell stuff. You know, I'm upstairs, she's downstairs, and it was just like, man, okay. Once we got off work, we would come into the bar area and sit at the bar like we were out, like we would usually do, play our music, go outside, go for a walk. I mean, it was so refreshing. I mean, I think that I even saw a side of her, and I got to listen. I seen things and like, dang, she's way more attractive than she was before, you know. So it opened my eyes to some things about her that I was like, I didn't get to see on a daily basis, you know, through those hours that we were missing while we were at work.
Yeah. It forces you to be creative, and I think the thing is that it goes back to the fact that you're not around each other, so you have the opportunity to miss your spouse. And it's like, okay, cool, let's talk about our day. But when you in each other's face all day, there's no element of surprise anymore. You know what I mean? It's not like, babe, let me tell you what happened at work today. You know, it's none of that.
Right.
And I think that's what tore up a lot of people, is because, again, they didn't have that friendship foundation.
I was just gonna say that. Chris said something that is major, and I would think that it would be easier to submit to my friend, even if I really didn't want to. But this is my friend first,
right?
And I definitely don't want my friend to be feeling something. I got to make sure my friendship remains intact with my
Absolutely.
This has been my friend forever. So even in the fact that I just don't want to do this one particular thing, but because this is my friend, you know, and you think about that when Krista said what he said, it kind of really made me sit here and say, yeah, when you're friend, I'm gonna come through for my friend. I ain't gonna. I mean, I might be like, I don't really want to, but you're my friend.
Right. Yeah, that makes a difference.
That makes a lot of sense.
And that also speaks to the cleanliness of their marriage, because, to be honest, if it were the opposite way around, the thing that would have came to surface seeing each other all day and when you get off work is now you got to deal with all those closet resentments. So the fact that they were able to find more beautiful things and more valuable things about each other speaks to the fact that they had less of that other stuff, and they gained more in their strength of their friendship.
Yeah. And there were spats. There were arguments. I mean, it was like, you think of lunch today. I got to think of lunch every day. I don't want to think of lunch today. I mean, it was just like, you know, different arguments like that. And we did have arguments that brought out like, well, I didn't know that I communicated this way with you, and blah, blah, blah. So it was a learning journey. It really went. There was some growing pains, but for the most part, it wasn't that bad of an experience.
I think we learned how to get over things quickly.
Man, listen, because I got to be here all day with you, so I got to get over it quick.
And so that's submission.
Yeah,
it's like, I have to submit to my ego, you know, just like, dang, I want to argue a little bit longer, but it's like, but we need to hurry up and figure out what's for lunch and all this kind of stuff. So
because the way my stomach is set up, I'm getting a little lunchy, and I don't want to keep.
I'm not trying to not talk to you, right?
I need a sandwich. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got time to be fighting with you. I need a sandwich.
Yep. And you know what's so funny is like during the pandemic. Remember, and I'm gonna come from the toxic side now, right?
Come on, Toxic Bay. I've been waiting on it. Come on, Toxic Bay.
Look, remember the sneaky links. You couldn't see your sneaky link, right? During the pandemic. That's where you going, right? You at home. So look, it's easy to submit to the person that you're not really into. It's easy because you have something to look forward to, right? Just like your work husband and your work wife. You know, you're dressing up, going to work, looking all extra fly and stuff. Yeah, baby, you need me to take out the trash? No problem, because I'm going to see this next queen that's at work, right? So it was easy for people to just get along. And right? But then when we were at home with the person and you can't go and, you know, see your work husband and wife and the sneaky link, and you with this person that you like, you know what? Just looking at you piss me off.
Yeah.
Why are you here?
What? You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So
why are you breathing?
Yeah, you couldn't get those validation assists. So
Wow. Well, listen, that hour went by really, really quick. I tell you what, and this is a great conversation. I think, you know, is it just me, or does this warrant a round two? I think we need a round two.
You're not ready.
This is a whole whole series. Seriously, there's so much to unpack.
I think we need a round two because you know, Jason Thibodeau, he been a little too quiet in that corner, Jess.
Hey man, I'm submitting.
Oh, that's what we're calling it.
What we need to talk about is why men have a problem with submitting and how they view authority in their lives. Men do have a problem submitting. Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Well, we need to see what we.
I have a problem
Let's
with
do that so we can see what that looks like.
Answer all at one time.
Love to submit. Please take care of it.
So next week it's going to be the hot seat with Mitchell.
All right.
Yeah, she's trying to start something. You see, she's gonna wait to the end and try to get
right
it
through that.
Ready.
I have a problem with BS. Don't.
Oh, don't do me.
Yeah.
Don't do me, Jason.
It's about to go down.
That's right, Jason. Come on.
This really, though, for real, has been an exceptional conversation, and does submission come with conditions? We got to do a round two of this, y'all. For real.
Yeah, this was fun.
And it, you know, just segueing into the component about the friendship, it opens up a whole new course for dialogue. For real. When you really start contemplating that bigger picture of foundational principles and truths in relationships.
And
well,
maybe next time some of the men, we can share some real life examples of when we had conditions. I know I had some of them.
Charles, you know what, Charles? We don't, you know what, Charles?
Is Charles gonna be the only one on the show? Because that's what it sounds like.
To Mitchell, listen, if Charles is gonna express his conditions, that might take 4 hours. I think that may very well take.
Look at him, he ready.
That may very well take up the hour in its entirety. I mean, seriously.
Or let's rephrase it. Maybe it's not conditions. Maybe it's just things that highly turn us off.
For sure. That's it, Jason. That's
the All right, y'all. So thanks so much for tuning in to this week's edition of The Hot Seat. We will see you all again on next Tuesday night at the same bad time, same bad channel. We're going to hit this with round two. We're going to finish this conversation about, does submission come with conditions? And we're going to come up with some solutions as to how we can rectify this and give you some ideas on how to still enjoy submission while not having conditions. All right. All right, guys. Grace, peace, and blessings. And we will see you all again on next week. Thank you to all of our exceptionally amazing panelists. And remember, guys, if you want to contact them or you want more information, how you can connect with our panelists, they will be putting their information in the chat on the live streaming as soon as we get off, so you'll be able to connect with them further. God bless, and we'll see you all again on The Hot Seat. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.